So look, I realized a long time. I've always been fascinated with idioms. I've always wanted to know where she went the full 9 yards, like where that came from, things like that. So I've always been fascinated with English idioms. And then when I came to Israel, I was fascinated with Israeli idioms, Hebrew idioms, because I remember going to the Ministry of Interior to get my passport, and she was asking me for all types of ridiculous documentation to prove I was a Jew. Until I finally turned at her and I said to her in my poor, pathetic Hebrew, I said to her, At nohegat oti bananot, which literally means you're driving me bananas, but that does not translate into Hebrew. So she said, What the hell are you talking about? Are you on drugs? What are you talking about? So I had to go to Stametsky's and buy a few books on Hebrew idioms. And then when I started learning Arabic, I was like, there are no books. There are plenty of books on Paidi maxims and sayings in Arabic, but there are no on proverbs. There are plenty of books on proverbs, but there are no books on idioms in Arabic. So I began to write that down, and I began to use them. And eventually, during COVID, I made it into a book called in English Mintakta. Mintakta is an idiom. An idiom, by the way, a lot of people don't know what idioms are. I even have like professors. Professors confuse idioms and expressions and proverbs and slang. And I'm not going to go into a whole history of what the differences between those things are, but just in general, idioms are those things, those words that you use that you don't mean literally. So to say it's raining cats and dogs, that is an idiom. In Hebrew, if you say, well, how are you doing? And I say, ala panim, I'm on the face. I'm not literally on my face. It's just that's an idiom. So I collected all the idioms, and I got about 1,800 in my book. And I just want to tell you how it really affected my communications with Arabs, with just a small anecdote, that my car had got dented, and I brought it to Talpiot when I was living in Jerusalem. And these two brothers had this garage, and they said they could fix the dent, and they quoted me a lot of money for the dent. And I said, no, it shouldn't be that much. It should be a lot. It should be like a third of that. That's way too much. And we kind of like were arguing and then yelling, and then it got kind of tense. And then I turned to them and I said to them in Arabic, I said, Ismo, kulna ulatisa. Listen, we're all the children of 9. That's what it literally means. And what does it figuratively mean? It means we're all children of 9 months. We all spent 9 months incubating in our mother's womb, which means we all went through the same process and we all came out the same. We're all human beings. So do a brother a favor and give me a discount. And when I said that, they were shocked. They laughed, they chuckled, they smiled, a big grin, they patted me on the shoulder. They said, how did you know that expression? How did you know that idiom? How did you know that? And I said, well, I've been learning the language. And they were so like impressed with that. Now, the truth is I didn't get the discount that I wanted, so it didn't work. It wasn't like a completely, just, it wasn't manipulative, but our relationship turned for the better. Because when you get to know someone's language to the point where you can speak in his idiomatic expressions, people really appreciate the fact, and they also feel that you know them. You're speaking to their heart. You're not speaking to their mind. I could speak to someone's mind in a very clinical, cold way, and we will not connect. But once you start speaking in their idioms, they really do connect with you. And yeah. So people ask me, why do I want to study Arabic? Why do I want to learn how to speak Arabic? And the truth is, my desire to study the Arabic language didn't come from a desire to speak Arabic. It came from a desire to understand Arabic. I do a lot of talking. I talk too much in life. I would do better listening rather than talking. And especially when you're trying to engage someone who's on the other side of the spectrum, supposedly your enemy. I know my opinion. I don't need someone to say my opinion out loud. I could go to the mirror in my bathroom and tell myself my own opinions. I don't need to then go ahead and declare them to someone in the shuk in the old city. But I will learn if I listen to these people and listen to what they have to say. And sometimes I have to be honest with you. Sometimes they're freaking nuts. Palestinians can be just as nuts as Jews. We all
Sure.
we all suffer from this disease.